All right. So we're talking about homeless. What you see now was not there yesterday. So at night, well, it's a really big problem, I think, in Medellin, where a lot of homeless people are on the streets, and because of that, yesterday the street cleaners came and cleaned everything, did a good job of just keeping it clean. Then at night, about say 8, 9, you saw. Oh, they go back this way. You saw a lot of the homeless people came. They went to the street corner where you have stores and people left their garbage to be picked up. The rubbish to be picked up. So they came there and then they brought all the packages here at this corner here, and they were opening them and doing what they did. I don't know what they were doing, scavenging maybe, and they were just doing that, and it was really surprising that there are two types of people I've seen doing that since I've been in Medellin, in the center here. First of all, you have those people who are they're into recycling. So to make a bit of money, they go into the bin, they take out plastics or cans that can be recycled, and they use that as a way to, to collect a bit of plastic, go to the recycling factory, dump it there, get a bit of money to do whatever they need to do. And that was fine. But then there are the others, and these others are a bit different. I don't know what they were looking for in the garbage bin, but in the rubbish bin, but it was just so much chaos, put it that way. So this is one of those things, I don't know what this is, that you see a lot in the center of Medellin. There is a homeless. Oh, there's a gym here. Okay. People trying to get fit. That's always a good thing. Yeah. So, and it's. I'm not saying it's like Skid Row or anything, but it's just like spread around the city center, and this is what I'm actually surprised about. And at night, even you go to other parts of the country. If you go to El Poblado, the more affluent area, I did not see any homeless person on the street. So I think, I don't know, maybe they wouldn't let them. The streets are a bit cleaner and more people are here, so it's a fascinating world of difference where more affluent people. I'm talking to myself and people, the guy in front of me like, okay, are you telling me to get out of the way or what? Alright, so this is rush hour in... I'm not crossing here. It just looks so dangerous. Alright, maybe cross on the other side, I don't know. What I find fascinating about, so you see all the cleaners and they are really going hard at it, trying to make sure the street stays clean. But then you have the problem of the homeless people also here. So I think this is going to be a permanent struggle for a lot of people, for the city as a whole, for the simple reason that it takes, if a big country like the US is unable to get it together and make sure you don't have like Los Angeles, a very expensive, affluent city, is unable to keep it together and make sure you don't have homeless people. Imagine then what you get in a country like Colombia. A lot of motorcycles and mopeds, by the way, which I don't know why that is the case. Oh, I think I know. It's just a more affordable form of transportation. So apparently there is talking about the history of Medellin and the narcos and everything that happened. People have said that in the good old days when El Patron, as he's called, Pablo, was here, that there were two types of issues that happened here. First of all, you had the issue with him being part of in the area and trying to improve his own neighborhood, and in doing that he invested a lot of money in his area, and some people benefited from it, basically as I think it's a way to pay them off and make sure they don't snitch on him, basically. So you have the government and other people fighting against him, and then you have people in his hometown loving him because he's doing good for them. So now the problem later that it created was that people became dependent. It created this sort of a parallel economy that wasn't really sustainable. And once he fell, it became a problem, because now what do? No more jobs. So that is where the situation then came back, where a lot of the young people, if you go to like Comuna 13 before it became what it is today, there is no permanent industry, so people just went into our taxi driver said yesterday that people singing on the street is a national sport here. And most of the people doing it is just really the sing, and then, well, if you enjoy the music, you pay or you give them a tip. It's not karaoke, it's just street entertainment, street art, if you want, if you call it that. So back to the story. Now, one of the other, the link between that and the problem of homelessness in the city is that a lot of the people who then experienced the highs and they got a bit of money, it did not create any permanent skill. Now they're here, you don't have a job, what do? Well, you come to the center of Medellin to try out your luck. But some of the people during those times experienced a lot of, they got into addiction. And before you know it, you were in a situation where you can't get out of the addiction, and you end up just on the streets. And that apparently also contributed to why you have homelessness in Medellin, and also the fact that a lot of other people coming from the countryside, when the whole, FARC and all these other guerrilla groups were just terrorizing the center, the countryside, you need to grow the good stuff and sell it illegally. So those people running away also, you leave your farm, basically you run for your life. And when you get to the city, you don't have any marketable skills, so it becomes very hard. And part of the people who actually experience that, the ones who were fortunate would end up in communities like Community 13, all the little barrios of the town, and those. Hello? All right. So most of the people coming from the area had only nothing. When they got here, they had to basically try to survive. And the problem with surviving like that was that some came with the trauma of experiencing the war in the countryside. So basically mental health issues, and by the time you get to the city, you're not in your right mind. And this just reminds me of I think the documentary a YouTuber made when they went through the Darien Gap, where Venezuelans and all these other people trying to cross from Colombia to Panama. And once there was I think a guy from Africa who during the travel lost his wife and his the mother-in-law, basically lost all members of the family in the Darien Gap in the jungle. So he made it to the other side, but when he got to the other side, he was completely out of his mind. He couldn't function. He was just walking around, running around, and they didn't know what to do with him. Obviously, he would need psychiatric help. And I think this is one of those issues that also contributes to the amount of homeless people in Medellin. I would imagine some people have gone through a lot of things that are not really great. So you end up being on the street because your family can't cope with you, or if you still have your family, or you got into substance abuse. Basically, a lot of issues that makes it very hard for people to function properly in society. So when you get into that, it becomes very difficult. Something I've also noticed is that most of on the main streets of Medellin, in the center, of course, most of the people who are here are mostly men. But apparently there is another barrio of the area, and that area is a bit dodgy that even locals aside will tell you don't go there. It's a little strip of a part of a street, and it's just filled with this is like the equivalent of Skid Row, or I don't know if it's called the Bronx or anyway, but anyway, you get the point. It's the same thing. And yeah, with that you have a lot of people basically struggling to integrate society. So then in that section you do have women suffering from addiction and being homeless. So it is quite a bigger problem. But sometimes the idea of out of sight, out of mind is also very prevalent. So now this brings us to the subject of poor dog, broken leg, and the owner carried him around. So now this brings us to the problem of the city trying to help clean up the place. It becomes very difficult where you employ street cleaners to clean up the streets, and then the homeless people come and trash it. So it becomes, and that is why, one of the reasons why, even in the US, when people say, we're going to have a homeless unit very close to your street, and people say, no, we don't. And the reason why people are against it is just simple, that most of the homeless units, or the type of homeless areas that try to help people, seems like a good idea, but unfortunately they don't often have the resources to deal with the underlying issues that most people face, which is the mental health issues, not just the addiction. Because even if someone is suffering from addiction, alcohol or whatever substance, you also have, some people might have deep mental health issues that would require, specialists like a psychiatrist to handle that. And that is a lot of money that sometimes the local community doesn't have, or the local government doesn't have, and they don't see why they would be using that money for such a thing. So it's a very complex situation of trying to deal with this. And if you look at this area in the center of Medellin, it's relatively clean, but you do have a strong presence of police in the park here, and they try to keep it as clean as possible. So you have police, you have the cleaners. I've even seen cleaners at night trying to just keep it going. So I don't think any country has a solution. I know what China did was basically move all the people, the homeless people, away from the center, move them away from all the locations where they're visible. And in some cases, what China did was, okay, you're homeless, good, you're here, where are you from? People will say, I'm from the countryside, and they just tell you, they'll move you back to the countryside. So in that way, they were able to remove a lot of homeless people from the streets. But is it really a solution, or just hiding the problem? Yeah, it's a very interesting question. But I don't think even hiding it, people say, well, if you hide it, then even hiding it is a bad thing in a way, because there was there was a video on YouTube about a guy who had a business, and in front of the store, a homeless person decided he was going to camp there because it was a bit convenient for him. So he sat on the side, and of course he would do what he would do whatever he needed to do. And the business owner got fed up and said, look, you need to move, and he wouldn't. So he got a sprinkler and started to, I wouldn't say wash the homeless guy, but he started to spray the homeless guy, and people were shocked, and they saw it, and they were like, oh no, you can't do that. So they posted the video on YouTube just to shame the business owner. And then there was a debate online. There were those who were for him and say, look, he's got a business, he's paying taxes. The local council wouldn't obviously do anything about it. Why should he be the one to pay tax and then have someone sit in front of me? It's scaring the customers. And others are saying, well, you know, the guy is human. You don't have to treat him like dirt. So it's just a never-ending conversation. And I think most people are a bit naive about the whole, what it means to be, the implications of homelessness and how difficult it is for the state and the businesses to handle this properly. So yeah, it's a never-ending story of debate and people testing things out. And at the moment, there is no permanent solution.